Good morning. Happy Wednesday to you. Well, today we come to John chapter 8 again for some wisdom. And I don't know about you, but I've continued to ponder some of JK's words from this week, and one of them being only Jesus can expose sin's darkness, seeing that he is the light of the world. I was particularly interested or loved how JK talked about how when Jesus says, I am the light of the world, he exposes the fact that he is the Messiah, the coming Messiah that they were expecting, and that he's not shy of telling people who he is. And in fact, in this passage, the Pharisees are questioning his testimony about himself and questioning who his Father is. And so today we're really focusing on the fact that we know God because we know Jesus. Jesus actually reveals who God the Father is and the nature of God the Father by revealing that through the person of Jesus as he walked on the face of this earth. And in verse 19 of chapter 8, it says, Jesus answers them as they're questioning him. He says, you know neither me nor my Father. If you knew me, you would know my Father also. And I think this statement is interesting when we consider the fact that if we're looking at Jesus and as we watch him encounter people through the Gospels, as we listen to what he says about himself, as we listen to how he interacts with people, both religious leaders, and as he interacts with people who sin and who are marginalized, then I think we get a clear picture of who God the Father is and really what his intention is towards us. And especially as we look at the cross. And so I think that's kind of a good thing to keep in mind. Sometimes we think that the Old Testament God the Father looks different than Jesus, but Jesus is actually pointing to who God the Father is. If you're interested in delving into this a little bit more, James Bryan Smith wrote a book called Good and Beautiful God, where he looks at Jesus and looks at how Jesus talks about and refers to the Father so that we can even know the Father and know the character and the heart of God more and really understand what Jesus was trying to point out. So if you're interested in kind of that idea, that's just another resource that you can that can help you kind of look at these passages a little bit more. But I'd love for you to just think about, when I look at Jesus, when I look at how he interacts with people, when I look at what he says about who he is, what does that tell me about what I can know about God the Father? Does that change my perception of who God is when I look at how Jesus is in these gospel stories? So just a little thing to ponder on a Wednesday.